Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 227 or to 228. It's actually for 2 days, for the 8th and the 9th of October. And there will also be information from the morning to probably afternoon of today, 10th of October. But it's not going to be battlefield information. It's mostly going to be things that I'm going to tell you next. So let's start off with weird statements. Okay, not weird statements. Let's start off with a major development on the Russian side. So the Russians has appointed a new commander for the special military operation, and this guy is going to be called Sergei Survinkin, and he's actually this guy. So this guy is going to be the new commander. He's the general of the army, and he's now the commander of the entire special military operation. As previously, it seems like, if I'm not wrong, that the commanders are spread between the different fronts. So there's one taking in charge of the southern front, one in the eastern, one in the northern, and then it's kind of complicated, especially in the earlier phase in the war, in the first part of the war, in the first months, where the operation seems to be entirely unconnected. The commander of the Chernihiv Sumy front is unrelated to the Kharkiv one, unrelated to the Donbass one, unrelated to the Kherson one. It doesn't seem like they have a coherent plan of sort, or the coherent plan is actually very vague. And for the first time now, they have one general in charge of everything. Although I seem to remember there should be another one, but based on what I read, this is the first one, and he is appointed on the 8th, so which means on the 9th he officially kind of like take over, go into the office of sorts, and make battle plans, or impose his plans. And on the 10th we start to see the impact of his divisions, and Russia has announced massive high precision long range attacks on the facilities of military control, communications, and energy systems of Ukraine, basically large scale missile strikes. And according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they say that the goal of the attack has been reached and all assigned target has been neutralized. The attack is across the entire of Ukraine. They hit literally everywhere, and the new commander very quickly come out with the weird statement of the day. For the enemies of Russia, the morning does not start with coffee. The missile strike has been launched since today's early morning in Ukraine, and it has not stopped all the way to, I think, noon. And for the first time in a long time, Kyiv has been hit by missiles. So Kyiv has been spared from missile strikes for a very long time, for a few months already, and this is like the first time in a long time we have seen Kyiv getting hit, and a lot of footages has came out from Kyiv, and it hits reportedly the SBU building as well as one of the offices of Zelensky, and so things are looking pretty crazy, and this comes at the same time where Putin will be meeting the Security Council. Oh, I forgot to turn off his face. So Putin is supposed to meet with the Security Council today as well, and they said, and according to this pro-Russian account, Boris Rosen, he said that the strikes are actually preparing the ground for the meeting. Kind of funny. Maybe maybe the new commander, this guy, he is going to be part of this meeting. So maybe some divisions will be made. So it's extremely unusual. A new commander comes in, and massive missile strikes across everything. But perhaps it also has something to do with the Crimean Bridge. So before we go to Crimean Bridge, let's go through some of the impact of this missile strikes. So the Kharkiv have lost entirely its electrical and water supply. And then in Sumy, there's lights, problem with lights in districts. So not sure that's what's supposed to mean. I call it basically just blackout, no electricity. There's also disruption of electricity and water in Poltava. There is a water supply disruption in Dnipro. And there is, so I think let's see, there is some power issue in Kyiv, but not significant. In Zhytomyr, there is a citywide blackout throughout the entire city of Zhytomyr. In Khmelnytsky, there is some electrical blackout there at Ternopil. Also partial loss of electricity at Lviv. Seems to be one of the more heavily hit region of this missile attack. There is no electricity because their thermal power plant has been hit and stopped working. So in the latest information is that 90% of the city has no power supply, and trams and trolley buses which run on electricity is not running. 80% of the traffic light does not work. There's no hot water supply as well, and cellular communication has went difficult. So Lviv seems to be the more heavily hit, perhaps because it's one of the main channels where reinforcement, resupplies, and ammunition comes in from. And this comes at the same time where the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported 2 days ago that the Belarusian has extended their military inspection or thingy until October 15, and the closure of the airspace south of Belarus, along the border with Ukraine, has continued to be closed. And then today we have rumors. There are videos showing Belarusian tanks being delivered, via railway towards the border. And according to numerous pro-Ukrainian sources, they are saying that the Belarus is transferring heavy equipment to the Russians, to the border, and is getting people very uncomfortable, because the defense minister of Lithuania is now accusing Lukashenko of diverting Ukrainian forces. It's like a diversion. But it's kind of weird, because that's exactly the job of Belarus in this special military operation, is to actually to pin forces to the northwest of Ukraine. So, and if Ukraine do not put forces there, then Belarus could have just invade, or Russian forces stationed in Belarus can just invade. So there is basically not much difference, because Belarus is an ally of Russia. And all these missile strikes, with the change of the commander, with the Belarus acting weird, saying the president saying weird stuff, we are seeing panic across the board. So EU embassies has reportedly ordered urgent evacuations from their embassies. So embassies of EU countries receive urgent evacuation order from the city of Kyiv. The Red Cross themselves, the Red Cross International Committee of Red Cross, has suspended their activities and operations in Ukraine for security reasons. And the US Embassy has in Kyiv urged Americans to leave Ukraine. Is there something that they know that we didn't know? I think that the Crimean Bridge attack seems to have worried the West a lot more than what Kyiv seems to suggest, because Kyiv is pretty proud of the attack on the Kerch area, the Crimean Bridge, and but it looks like the rest of Europe and the West doesn't seems very comfortable with it. So at the Crimean Bridge, I said that it was destroyed. According to the title, yeah, that's a clickbait. I know it's not destroyed, but technically, if it's totally not working, then it's destroyed. And based on initial footage, it looks pretty destroyed. And apparently, it's not as destroyed as I think it is. The repair was immediately being done on the bridge, and the fire brigade has arrived there and it washed off the fuel and lubricant from the structure because vehicles are burning, the train are leaking oil or gas or whatever. So but then the vehicle road vehicles, however, continue to be able to operate because there is 2 bridges and for the vehicle road, and only one of them got collapsed. So both traffic is now moving on that one road, and but the traffic seems to be a lot slower because of this. Some of the diversions and security measures, and railway traffic resumed. So just now we saw the repair, and then I can show you. See, they have moved in the repair trains and they are removing all the oil tankers that was damaged and destroyed. So the railway itself seems to be pretty intact if you look at the railway. And do note the clothing of these workers is orange vest with blue jeans pants kind of thing, and you can see that they are already removing, and you can also see that the other parts of the train has already left off from the railway station. It's only the damaged one that is still on the railway track, and they are moving, and you can see that the sun is setting in this video. So they earlier, the previous video that you saw, the sky seems to be a bit brighter. So this one, is a bit darker already. And then at night, by night time, you can see, on the left side here, you can see I tell you about the clothes. All are wearing orange vests and blue pants. So this is the Crimean Bridge. I just want to let you know. And a test train has been moved over the bridge to check everything is moving and working correctly. And this entire train passed through the damaged part. So this part where they are filming is the damaged part, where the tanks were burning, and due to the explosion further lower at the bridge. And it seems like everything is working pretty fine. Yeah, the footage is a bit long. Let's move forward. Yeah, so this is the end. The entire train have moved past pretty decently, and you can see the repair trains. And so just want to show you again. You can see the part, the railings. There's the railing part where it was bent and damaged by the explosion. So just want to show this is the actual footage. Regardless of what people tell you on Twitter, people is arguing with me, that this is fake. No, this is actually legitimate as far as I can tell. And but because still the bridge is severely damaged because one of the road is down. So, and due to security reasons, the Russians have established ferry crossing as well. So there is a Kerch-2 ferry sailing across the straits, to deliver, trucks and stuff. So the train, as far as I can tell, is already operational. They are already sending, food. What is food? Not food. I mean, they're already sending equipment, fuel, ammunition from the mainland to the peninsula along the railway track, and all in one day. By the night time, I'm so impressed. When I first saw the news of the train went past, I almost puked my water. So anyway, let's move on. So we have covered all these statements. We covered the missile strikes. I covered the Belarusian and the Crimean Bridge. So let's go on to the front. So at the Mykolaiv Front, we have confirmation that Ternovi-Pody is under Russian control. This is considered by the deep state UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, where they are mistaken because they misunderstood the Ukrainian defense ministry, I guess. And so that actually clears up the conflict of whether Ternovi-Pody is actually under Ukrainian. So that's cleared up. And the Ukrainians have attacked Maksimivka. So this is just a DRG, which is by recon troops. The recon troops try to poke Maximivka to see whether the Russians are there or if it's weak. And over at Snihurivka, similarly, the Ukrainian forces is probing the defense of the Russian lines. So far, no breakthroughs, and it's not major offensive, but it's still fighting at the Mykolaiv Front. Over at the Kherson Front, there's a MiG-29 shot down over Bila Krasnisia based on the latest Russian Defense Ministry report. There's also a Mi-24 attack helicopter shot down yesterday, or at least reported yesterday, over at Mykolaiv, further up north from the front line. Pretty far away, actually. If you ask me, it's around 25 kilometers away, so pretty far away, which continues to confirm that the Russians do have air supremacy over this region. And it is corroborated with the Sukhoi 24 getting shot down over Dibrova, far away from the front line within the Mykolaiv region, 60 kilometers from the front line. So this but the good news is the Ukrainian Air Force is still operating. So if you are pro-Ukrainian, be glad about that. As you can see, there's a lot of icons because there is fighting reported across the past two days. And first, we start off with this part. So, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, they reported that the Ukrainians launched an attack on Mala Sediminukha. Mala Sediminukha. So, which previously we mapped it under Ukrainian control, which means that this information is wrong. It's actually a Russian control. So we actually give the flag to the Russians, which means they actually secure all the way to the Inhules River. So the lines are pretty tight then, more tighter than previously was expected. And there's fighting reported at Bezimene. This one is reported today. And there's fighting reported at Sheslave. This is on the 8th. And fighting reported at Bruskinskiv on the 8th and on the 10th, which I believe is still a continuous attack. Maybe on the 9th they are also fighting. The Russians actually attacked south of Davidiv Brid, clearing up a forest belt, basically probably just one line of forest. So the Russians did do their own offensive, small one. And then Ischenka reported fighting at Ischenka at Sadok. Sadok seems to be one of the most heavily fighting. There's continuous reports of fighting at Sadok. And Pyatikaki is another one that received a lot of attention in terms of fighting. And then also at Sakhanove. And then there's also this very weird report of by Wogonzo, a very vague statement. They say at the Duchan site, the Ukrainian army tried to advance on the right bank of the Dnieper, but they did not really explain exactly where. So kind of a really weird kind of sentence. But it seems like the main focus is still around this region rather than going down south from Duchany. I'm not sure why is this the reason. Perhaps the artillery on the other side of the Dnipro River is actually really threatening to the Ukrainian forces. So they now avoid using this line of attack, but instead they actually attack from this side where it's further away from the artillery on the other side of the river. And there is also report of a concentration of tanks in the region of Belyavka. So maybe there will be a major tank offensive today, launched from Belyavka. And that's all from the Kherson Front. As you can see, the Kherson super duper uber offensive is still ongoing, and so let's see how far the Ukrainians can go. But as far as we can tell, the Russian lines has held. As you can see, there is actually no capture, and this is reporting from for the past 2 days on the 8th and the 9th, and today is the 10th already, and the fighting is still ongoing along the same line. So very impressive that the Russians new front line actually held. This is actually a surprise to me. I thought it would collapse like the Kharkiv region. So moving on to the Zaporizhzhia line, we have nothing here. except that there is a Ukrainian MiG-29 shot down over Blachodatny or Chapayevka. It's kind of weird because it's very deep within the Russian territory. I cannot find this Chapayevka on the Ukrainian side of the Zaporizhzhia. So I can only assume that this is actually accurate. It's shot down by Russian fighters. And moving on to the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, the Ukrainians launched their own offensive in the Donetsk region. They are reportedly attacking Mykolaiv and Yahovivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And there is also an attack at Oyablivsky, which is kind of weird because this is behind Novodonetsky and Novomayorsky. And these two locations we map it as under Russian control. So, but the Russian Defense Ministry tend to have this kind of weird reports where this the fighting is reported in behind where the line seems to be. So it is what it is now. We'll see how this goes. And over at the Novomykhailivka side, the Russians continue to be fighting around this region. From the statement by War Gonzo, they said that the Russian army is attacking and entered Novomykhailivka, and it's moving towards victory. Victory is actually Pobjeda. So by entered Novomykhailivka, I'm not sure what's that supposed to mean. So maybe they are making some progress by the sounds of it. There's also fighting reported at Pobjeda on the 8th and on the 9th. So both is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And the Russian Defense Ministry came out with this very weird statement on the 9th of October report. So it's about information about the 8th. And they say that there's a counter attack by the Ukrainian forces, by the 1st Ukrainian Presidential Regiment and the 115th Mechanized Brigade. They are attacking towards the south of Donetsk. But you have to see where Donetsk city is here. South of Donetsk is here. So it's the kind of like, where do you actually mean by south of Donetsk? So I'm kind of guessing it's probably around Marinka Pobjeda region. So a very weird kind of statement. I'm not exactly sure where to plot this position. There's fighting reported at Krasnohorivka, as the reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and then for the next days reported by War Gonzo. This entire area is heavily entrenched. There's actually, you can see all the trench markings. Is literally, this is actually not for living. This is actually for fighting. This entire area is just a massive fortification. It's just a defense position. So the Russian forces continue to try to slowly break through towards Krasnohorivka. Fighting continues at Nevelsky. Heavy fighting is reported there by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The Russians also continue to go for Pervomaisky, try to capture the entire of Pervomaisky. Moving on to north of Avdiivka, there is fighting reported at Kayamka, also according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And then there is fighting reported at New York, also reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry yesterday, that the Russians tried to attack New York. So that's all from the Donetsk front. Very active, and a lot of things is happening. Like the volcano at the Ring of Power, Jbumba. Then after that, what the hell is happening, kind of thing. And moving on to the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, there is fighting reported at Mayorsk on the 8th, and after that, we didn't hear of Mayorsk anymore for yesterday. And there's fighting reported at Ozyarenivka, fighting reported at Kudyumivka. And then there is a Ukrainian attack 2 days ago near Zaiseve, where the Ukrainians probably launched a counter-offensive. However, it seems to be in vain, as the Russians fully secured Zaiseve. So previously, remember we reported that Ryba says that the western side of Zaiseve is still under Ukrainian control. This has ceased to be the case, as the Russian forces, or rather the Wagner PMC forces, has taken over the large fortification, and they have secured the entire settlement. So this is reported by both pro-Ukrainian source Deep State UA, where they considered that they has lost Zaitsevo, and also by pro-Russian source Ryber. And fighting has now reached the southern outskirts of Bakhmut, where fighting is now reported at Opaine. On the 8th and the 9th, both days, is reported that there is fighting over at Opaine. This is by the attacks by Wagner private military contractors. So you can see War Gonzo reported for the 9th one that they say that they are trying to advance on the section of the MO3 highway. I believe it's this highway, and then there is also fighting reported at Ivangrad. So this entire southern outskirts of Bakhmut is currently getting attacked by the private military contractors Wagner Group. There's fighting reported at Bakhmut on the 8th, and then there is a counter-offensive reported on the 9th, where the Ukrainians turn to attack. But I don't think it's going to be much. There is fighting reported on the northeast of Bakhmut, according to War Gonzo. Not particularly clear where they are going, or maybe the highway MO3 is actually this one. I don't know. Anyway, not important. Moving on to Bakhmutske, there's fighting reported Bakhmutske for 8th and the 9th, and then there on the Soledar 8th and the 9th as well. There's fighting reported at Soledar, and there is also Ukrainian attack, at Soledar reported on the 9th as well. So there is conflicting reports that both sides is accusing each other to be the one attacking at Soledar. So maybe they just have a major misunderstanding. They should just play football and make out. There's fighting reported at Yakovlivka on the 9th, and that's all from the Bakhmut front. As far as I can tell, the Russians are still moving forward, and they are crawling ahead. And reaching the South Bakhmut is pretty bad news, to be honest. Anyway, moving on to the Siversk Front. As Siversk Front start to flare out, with the Ukrainians launching a major offensive over the Siversk Front. Fighting is reported at Berostelve. Yes, this attack is from yesterday. Fighting at Berostelve. There's fighting reported at Sperne. There's fighting reported near Verkom Okanyamka, which is actually this settlement. And then there is also fighting reported at Bilohorivka. So on the 8th, the Russians attacked Bilohorivka, and on the 9th, the Ukrainian counter-attacked. And so looks like the Ukrainians are trying another attempt. So far, it doesn't sound like it has been successful, because these reports are reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, and they said that the attack has been repulsed. The word they use is repulsed. So that's all from the Siversk Front. Over at the Svatove Kreminna Front, I still haven't come up with a better name for this. There is a concentration of forces at Liman, and which, according to the pro-Russian source Ryber, is several battalions of foreign mercenaries, which is quite crazy. Several battalions worth of foreign mercenaries, including Americans, British, Polish, Arabs, and French soldiers. So quite amazing. There is rumor saying that nowadays the fighting, 70% of the fighters are actually foreign mercenaries. Pinch of salt, I guess. Pinch of salt. The Russians has launched their own counter-attack or counter-offensive over here in the Kreminna Liman region, where the Russians attacked Terny. This is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 8th and on the 9th. So this is also corroborated by pro-Russian source, which probably also read this information from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, where they reported Russians are attacking Terny. So, but the Russians Ryber also do talk about in their mapping that in this area the Ukrainians are concentrating a lot of forces around this region, just east of this river, this river called Zerabets River. Yeah, a lot of forces around here. So in the northern part, over at this Kupyansk Front, the Ukrainians have captured multiple locations. They have captured Andrivka, Zarivka, and Stelmakivka. So, and after this capture, all these are on the 8th. They have launched an offensive towards Kuzemivka. So that this is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. There's fighting reported at Kuzemivka on the 9th, and then on the 10th. 10th is today. So this yesterday's report, this today's report, and there's a concentration of Ukrainian forces, also foreign mercenaries at Novoplatonivka in this region. So this is probably the real region where they actually have their deployment points from, and then they after once they're ready, then they are sent to the front to fight. At the Kupyansk region here, Ukrainian forces continue to attack Tabaivka. This is based on the today's Russian Ministry Defense report. There's fighting reported at Kaiselivka yesterday and today's report. All these are reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. There's fighting reaching Yakhidne. So this is pretty far back already, because previously the line was in front of Ivanivka. So they are at Yakhidne. It's unclear whether the Ukrainian forces have captured Ivanivka though. And there's fighting reported at Olyanske. This one is on the 8th. And the Ukrainian forces was on the 8th attacking Poshotrasnevi and Vilshana. But it was not reported to be fighting yesterday. So maybe they had given up. I'm not sure. There's also fighting reported at Tverdanka. Similarly, it was not repeated yesterday, only on the 8th. So that's all from the Kupyansk Front. And I believe I covered everything. So this is everything. Thank you for watching. This is the summary for the day of 227 and 228, 8 to 9 of October. Yesterday, I did not do a report because I was rushing work. I was very busy. And in fact, I'm still very busy. And anyway, stay tuned. There will be a lot of things happening. I think this war has reached a new stage. I believe the real war, what the pro-Russians like to say, they haven't even started yet because Putin says so. I believe there's some truth to that. I think the Russians have not really actually started yet. Or they have been fighting on the first gear. I believe we are now starting to see that they might go into the second gear with the appointment of this new guy. And I believe that, and then with these massive missile strikes in reaction to the Crimean Bridge and the fact that they hit Crimean Bridge, and then all this development at Belarus, the Putin meeting the Security Council, and then the fact that everyone is evacuating, everyone is freaking out. I believe we might see a new stage of war, and I think that Russia might now go to a new level of war against Ukraine. So we might be seeing the beginning of the beginning. Yeah, if that's a thing. Anyway, this is the summary. Please do press the like button if you haven't pressed the like button. Do share this video to your friends and contacts if they are interested in the war, and do also subscribe if you have not subscribed. And I will see you in the next update.